It's time for the important bits of build 42.9. While the headline is a new zombie spawning system, I'm sure most of you want to see me call in an airstrike. Explosives received a major buff in the ragdoll treatment. The pipe variety goes off like artillery. Aerosols? Less dramatic visually, but still deadly. Where it used to take multiple explosives to down a single zombie, one well-placed bomb does the job. It's a big step up and likely to become a meta option for horde control if it stays this good. What about the fire-based throwables? They still simply set things on fire. No ragdoll, no instant kills. Before I return to the headline, I bring you some breaking news. It's not mentioned in the notes, but there appears to have been a change to endurance usage in combat. Testing with a hatchet in build 42.8.1 at level 0 axe skill, I use about 0.006 stamina per hit. At level 5 axe skill, it's similar. In build 42.9 at level 5 axe skill, it becomes 0.003 per hit, a 50% reduction in stamina usage. This is pretty big news if it's intentional, and puts build 42 unstable, the closest it has been to build 41 combat since its release. I also tested with a baseball bat between the builds, and it did not have such consistently reduced stamina usage. Because of that, I recommend waiting to see what happens to this change in the next patch. I called out the spears, crits always kill mechanic, stealthily returning to them in build 42.6, and that has stayed so far. Back to the headline. The exterior zombie heat map system is fully automated. Interior building spawns run on their own system and have not been changed. I have an older video that covers how to tweak that setting. There are 3 layers to the new system. The first 2 use seed-based noise that changes with every new game. The density layer sets up a randomized pattern of zombie density across the entire map. The removal layer removes zombies from certain areas, creating safe corridors through cities for players to sneak through. And by sneaking, they mean literal emptiness, not stealth gameplay. No need to crouch when there are no zombies around to hear you. The final layer, that actually spawns the zombies if it can, is the tile layer. Military type tiles have a large radius and high spawning multiplier around them. Normal houses have a smaller area and multiplier. Abandoned places will have the least. Empty forests and fields appear to have no multiplier and as such doesn't spawn zombies. Since it's automated, as long as the map modders use appropriate tile types, they will not have to make their own heat map. There is a fallback for them to make their own if they so choose. This is a heads up for those using ported legacy modded maps. Mini scatter military tiles like confetti. That's going to increase zombie counts in weird places. The system isn't perfect yet. Take the corn maze for example. Its fencing must be tagged at a high level, because way too many zombies are gathering at the side that should be empty. There's also a weird magnet spot in the middle of the road near Rosewood. Flip on the foraging overlay at build42map.com and you'll see the sign is tagging the area as a town zone. That's the foraging map, not the new zombie spawning system, but it's likely they share tags in this case given the evidence. Because of that, places like the isolated cabin west of Muldra and the Deer Lake Ranger Station, both previously patched to be zombie-free, are now hosting undead parties again. As usual, new features are cleaned up over the course of several patches. That said, the system is doing its job. Every new game feels dynamic. Sometimes you'll get lucky and the horde outside the army surplus store is MIA. But beware, the current system uses an all or nothing removal method. Areas will either be fully populated or empty. The transition is very noticeable. Oh, and there are more zombies in general now. If you were used to safe spots like Echo Creek's gas station, you can find a nasty surprise horde as you pull in. Speaking of surprises, headlights now throw light a useful distance at night. Perfect for those panicked midnight maneuvers around roaming hordes. Crafting received a key change. If you know a recipe and have the recipe magazine on hand, you can now craft it even if you're 1 level under the required skill. This finally gives post-read magazines real value. Personally, I think it's a huge win. I'll hand out bonus points if the Indie Stone adds a custom sandbox setting so players can adjust how much under-level crafting is allowed. And there's still more good crafting news. You can now harvest aramid thread from firefighter gear and bulletproof armor, even if they are broken. This makes it easier to craft high-tier armor. No animal hunting or husbandry required. Next up, changes to zombie behavior. This was in the fixes section of the patch notes, but it belongs in the balance changes. Zombies now react to sound even while attacking objects, so if you shout or get into a fight nearby, they'll abandon doors and furniture to come after you. This is a game-changing difference from before, where you could shout all day and they'd keep bashing the same wall. Be careful when clearing houses, the horde will converge on you in ways you are not used to. You can see nearby zombies behind you in the dark again. The radius does not appear to be influenced by keen hearing. If you didn't know, zombies in a pitch black room have their models despawn if they're not directly in your field of view. This led to weird issues with invisible zombies biting you from behind, or zombies on the floor disappearing when you stood on them. Good riddance to one form of invisible death. Clothing layers were changed up. It's mentioned as a fix of clothing on zombies, but it applies to the player character. It looks like a typo hit every line after the render order fix. There's been some complaints about certain pieces of clothing no longer stacking. As usual, I avoid covering bug fixes in these videos, but a few are worth your attention. The fishing bug that locks up your character when you go to fight has been fixed. Harvesting plants grants XP based on the plant's health again. They worked on the janky attacks at down Zeds. It's better, but still janky. There's been other issues plaguing targeting in combat recently. For example, when a zombie falls over a fence, there's a moment when auto-targeting will not target it. You'll notice it if you have the melee highlight on. Double gates are buggy and spawn a fence piece when you open them. I imagine there will be a hotfix soon for some of the issues that cropped up in this update. And yes, the hunks can spawn.